Divine revelation awaits. Chosen ones, your miraculous answers are about to manifest. August 30th, in the heart of an aged English village, whispers traveled like a gentle breeze through the thatched roofs and cobblestone streets. A lonely church stood sentinel, its steeple reaching heavenward, adorned with the flickering lights of hope. It was here that Mary often sought solace, her precious son Jake battling an unknown illness that cast dark shadows upon their lives. As the days passed, the villagers embraced fervent prayers, invoking St. Jude, the patron saint of hopeless cases, their faith intertwining like vines wrapped tightly around a trellis. The atmosphere grew electric, anticipation crackling with the promise of miracles as August 30th approached. The insistence of the visiting pastor filled the chapel, resonating with an energy that ignited hearts. Divine healing is destined to occur, he proclaimed with fervor. The echoes of his voice washed over the congregation like a mighty wave. Gasps of astonishment mingled with murmurs of disbelief, as eyes widened and souls quaked with the weight of hope. Yet, beneath the surface of this faith-filled frenzy, Mary found herself caught in a storm of doubt. She often knelt before the altar, wrapped in the soft glow of candlelight, praying for guidance. The flickering flames reflected her uncertainty, each flicker a testament to her wavering heart. Friends and family expressed concern, questioning her steadfast belief, whispering that she clung to a fragile dream. The weight of their worries pressed heavy upon her chest. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As August dwindled, so did her hope. Each passing day presented new challenges, including a medical setback that sent tremors through her heart. Alone in the chapel one evening, she cried out, her desperate prayer spilling forth like water from a broken vessel. An ethereal hush cloaked her, and within that silence, a soft whisper brushed against her soul, a sweet assurance that something monumental was on the horizon. As the countdown to August 30th grew more defined, the village prepared for that momentous day. The chapel buzzed with excitement as villagers gathered, each heart beating in unison, teetering along a fragile balance of faith and dread. Mary felt their collective spirit, a warmth surrounding her as they prayed. But as the hour approached, anxiety twisted within her, threatening to extinguish any remaining sparks of hope. Then, in an astonishing twist, a miracle unfolded in the chapel. Jake stood before the altar, the glow of divine presence lighting his frail form, as a transformation coursed through him, healing him in a way that left the congregation breathless. Gasps filled the air, hearts leaping as disbelief crumbled under the weight of undeniable truth. Yet, as Mary rejoiced, deeper questions loomed. What did this divine miracle truly mean? Could this moment challenge the boundaries of their understanding of faith? The village collectively held its breath, standing at the precipice of awe and uncertainty, the question hanging in the air. What revelation awaited them all? The profound silence that followed Jake's miraculous healing was palpable, as if time itself had paused to catch its breath. Mary's heart raced, a mixture of joy and confusion coursing through her veins. The villagers gleaned hope from every whisper of the wind, their eyes wide with wonder, yet mingled with disbelief. Could such a remarkable occurrence be real? The pastor, nearly speechless, raised his arms toward the heavens, his face radiating divine conviction. "Let your faith rise," he cried, his voice a powerful beacon in the moment. "A miracle has been revealed, yet deeper truths await. Seek them with all your heart." The words echoed like a rallying cry, igniting a fire in the hearts of the congregation. Mary, still grappling with the magnitude of the moment, turned her gaze to her son. Jake, once frail, now stood tall, vitality pulsing through him like new life into the dormant earth. The brilliance of his healing illuminated hope in the eyes of those gathered. Yet within Mary, an echo of doubt remained. Had this miracle come merely as a balm for her suffering, a fleeting relief, or was it the profound beginning of something greater? As the days unfurled the tapestry of Jake's recovery, whispers of thanksgiving filled the chapel. Villagers flocked to offer their gratitude, joyful tears mingling with laughter. Yet, in the flickering candlelight, Mary found her mind wandering, lost in the vastness of her thoughts. What if this healing is just the beginning? She pondered, staring at the radiant glow from the chapel's stained glass. Questions danced in her mind like the hues of sunlight filtering through the glass, vivid, beautiful, yet elusive. One evening, after the villagers had left and the chapel stood quiet once more, Mary re-entered, a sense of urgency pulling her to the altar. There, beneath the soft illumination of the candles, she fell to her knees, seeking answers from the one who had poured out such grace. "Lord, what has you planned for us?" she cried, her voice trembling. "What must I understand to carry this miracle forward?" As if in response, gusts of wind breezed through the chapel, stirring the flickering flames. Mary's heart quickened, sensing a divine presence saturating the air around her. She closed her eyes, breathing in deeply, allowing the moment to envelop her. And then it came a whisper, so soft yet potent, like a summer rain. "Trust in my greater plan, for revelations shall flow like rivers." Mary's heart swelled with warmth, yet her soul remained restless, hungry for deeper understanding. The pastor had spoken of a journey beyond miraculous healing, and now an appealing truth stirred within her, beckoning her to dive deeper into the essence of faith and purpose. The divine revelation promised didn't merely rest in Jake's healing. It was likely urging the entire village toward a renewal of their beliefs. The days that followed unfolded with an intensity Mary had never anticipated. Lives transformed, hearts opened. A renewed sense of community flourished, bound together by this miracle, but also by a deepening quest for understanding. And amidst all this, a stirring question lingered in her mind. What if there was a purpose to each miracle, a call to action, not just for her family, but for every soul touched by their story? As they gathered once more in the chapel, united under the soft glow of faith, a palpable tension filled the air. Something new was about to emerge, and the echoes of anticipation reverberated through the gathered hearts. What lay beyond the walls of healing? What truths awaited to be unveiled? Only time would reveal how this miracle had set forth a cascade of divine revelations yet to come. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm golden glow, Mary felt the weight of anticipation like a cloak around her shoulders. The chapel was filled with the whispers of villagers returning with their hopes renewed, eager to share their testimonies of change, their stories, now intertwining with Jake's miraculous healing. "Did you hear about Thomas?" A voice broke through the soft murmurings. "His leg is stronger. He walked without his cane today." Another chimed in, eyes alight with joy. "And Margaret?" She smiled for the first time in months. Mary turned to see their faces, sparkling with life, their spirits lifted by the miracle that had ignited something deep within them. She felt their joy seep into her own heart, yet a question niggled beneath the surface. Was this the extent of the miracle, or was there more to discover? That evening, as the stars twinkled like heavenly messengers overhead, Mary gathered the villagers in the chapel. They filled the pews, their hearts unified, seeking understanding. The candles flickered like fireflies, casting dancing shadows on the walls as Mary stood before them, a blend of love and trepidation gripping her spirit. "Thank you for being here," she began, her voice trembling but steady. "We have witnessed something extraordinary." "But what does it mean?" The pastor, standing beside her, nodded, a knowing smile gracing his lips. "Each miracle serves as a beacon, a call. This healing invites us to journey deeper into faith, to explore how God is working in our lives. Mary felt a stirring within as the pastor spoke. His words resonated, illustrating the essence that was beginning to unfold. What if we are called not just to believe in miracles, but to create them? She asked, her voice echoing in the hushed chapel. The crowd fell silent, absorbing the weight of her words. A ripple of realization flowed through them, igniting flickers of hope and unity. Eyes met in a mix of pondering and excitement. Could they really band together to bring forth more miracles? One villager, an older gentleman named Eli, stood. "Mary, I used to think miracles were meant for a select few. But what if we're all called? We can be vessels of love and light, sharing what we've been given." Exactly. Mary felt a warmth spreading through her, igniting a fire of purpose. Together, we can reach out to those in need, just as Jake was lifted. We can spread the hope that has blossomed in our village, touching even the far corners. A hum of agreement rose, voices intertwining in fervent discussions. We could start a food drive, one proposed, and perhaps a prayer circle each week, another suggested. Each idea became a thread, weaving a beautiful tapestry of faith and action. As they united in their endeavors, Mary felt the divine presence hovering over them, nudging them toward something even larger. With each passing day, their hearts expanded, filled with an urgency to serve and transform. The miracle wasn't just about Jake. It was about awakening the gift within them, a pure call to action resonating through their community. But as hope radiated like the dawn, uncertainty lingered just beneath. What if we fail? Someone dared a voice. Then we get back up and try again. Mary answered, firm yet reassuring. Faith, the journey we take together, filled with steps to God. Amidst the growing enthusiasm, a silent question remained, a spirit whispering from within. What challenges awaited them as they dared to embark on this collective path? As they lifted their hearts in prayer that night, each one wondered what divine surprises awaited them on this journey of faith. With hearts ablaze, they stepped forth, ready to discover what miraculous paths lay ahead. Each murmured prayer filled the air with expectation, and somewhere in the depths of the night, beyond their vision, God was crafting a plan that would change everything. What about the trials that lay hidden? Would their courage hold when confronted by the unknown? A new day broke over the village, draping it in a soft, golden light. Mary rose early, her spirit buzzing with purpose. She could feel their collective hopes hanging in the air like crisp morning dew, each drop a prayer, waiting to be fulfilled. As she prepared for the day's gatherings, her heart quickened with the thought of the good works that lay ahead. The chapel, now a beacon of light and love, stood ready to welcome all who sought solace and strength. As the villagers began to trickle in, their faces radiant with expectation, Mary felt an overwhelming sense of responsibility. They were not just there for themselves anymore. They were a community poised to transform lives. She was one among many, a mere instrument of something much larger. Remember, each act of kindness is a spark. A voice broke through her reverie. It was Eli again, his gentle presence a reminder of the wisdom that age often brings. And together, we can ignite a fire. As more villagers filled the pews, energized conversations began to form. Ideas bounced around like light on water. Organizing food drives, visiting the sick, creating a community garden. Each idea birthed from the spirit of divine unity, each one a step towards tangible change. Mary nodded, her heart swelling as they mapped out their journey ahead. A few days later, their first organized effort took shape. They set up a food collection at the town square. The sound of laughter and chatter filled the air as children raced around, while the adults came with bags in hand, offering food and essentials for those in need. Mary was moved to see the sheer abundance of love. But as the sun climbed higher, casting shadows in the town square, an unexpected challenge emerged. A whisper of discontent rustled through the crowd. Who are we to think we can make a difference? Someone questioned, folding their arms, skepticism shadowing their face. The air thickened with tension. Mary felt the weight of this question heavy on her heart. She stepped forward, feeling the gaze of every villager turn toward her. It's okay to doubt. We all have moments of uncertainty. But isn't that where faith shines the brightest? An older woman in the back countered, but what if our efforts are wasted? Hope is never wasted, Mary replied, passion radiating from her. Every act of love plants a seed. What we do now may seem small, but with God, even the smallest seed can move mountains. As light flickered in their eyes, some eager, others unsure, Mary realized that every hand, every heart, needed nurturing. It was time to share not just plans, but stories of faith. Let me tell you about Jake again. His journey was filled with uncertainty, too. She began, her words painting vivid images of healing and hope. Each story she shared unfurled their doubts, revealing the power of belief in even the darkest moments. Slowly, a tangible warmth began to spread through the crowd. Together, we must remember that we are all part of this miracle. When we come together, we create courage and love that can shift the tides. As the villagers rallied around her words, hope rekindled, sparking brighter than before. They spent the day sharing their experiences, igniting a collective strength that filled the square with joy. But as Mary looked out over the flock, a whisper tugged at her heart, reminding her of the obstacles that lay ahead. With their spirits aflame, new questions stirred. What trials would they face in their mission of love? Would their hearts remain steadfast against the storms that threatened to rise? As evening approached, Mary sensed a divine energy bubbling just beneath the surface, the vibrance of something miraculous just waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. What awaited them on the horizon of faith? Would they rise to meet the trials that life would indisputably bring? The air was thick with expectation, and the shadows of uncertainty danced around them. The evening sun bathed the village in shades of amber and deep violet, creating a sacred hush over the square. People lingered on their benches, the air fragrant with the mingling of hope and the scent of twilight. Mary gazed out across the gathering, her heart swelling with a sense of destiny. She could feel the promise of transformation stirring. "Let us take this moment to pray," she suggested, her voice cutting through the eager chatter. There was an openness in the crowd, a willingness to lean into the unknown. Hands unclasped, heads bowed, and a sacred stillness wrapped around them like a warm blanket. "Lord, we come before you with open hearts," Mary prayed, her voice steady and sincere. "Guide us, strengthen us, and fill us with your courage as we step into the unknown. Let our fears be met with faith, let our doubts find peace, and let our efforts bloom like the flowers you nurture." As Mary prayed, she felt a cool breeze sweep through the square, brushing against her cheeks. It was almost as if the Spirit had moved, whispering comfort and affirmation. Faces lifted and eyes sparkled with the light of a collective hope that could not be snuffed out. But just as the moment felt serene, a dark figure emerged from the edge of the crowd. It was Thomas, a man known more for his harsh words than compassionate acts. "What good is prayer without action?" he barked, his voice cutting through the tranquil atmosphere like a knife. Mary took a deep breath, sensing the challenge. "Thomas, prayer is action," she responded calmly, deliberately choosing words that radiated love. "It's the fire that fuels our hearts to act. Our faith ignites the very actions you speak of." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some nodded in agreement, while others cast glances of concern. Mary noticed Eli frowning, unsure of how this confrontation might unfold. Is it enough to simply pray and hope? We must take matters into our own hands. Thomas pressed, his conviction ringing loud. "Yes," a distant voice called out, joined by another. "It takes more than words." Mary felt a flicker of doubt creep into her heart. Would their journey be derailed by skepticism? But in that moment, she sensed an unseen force gathering strength within her. "You're right, Thomas," she affirmed. "But every great act begins with a thought, grounded in prayer and faith. We need both. Suddenly, Eli stepped forward, his weathered face radiating wisdom. Let us not confuse the two. Dear friends, he said softly but firmly. Faith fuels our actions, but it's our unity that will nourish this community. When doubts creep in, that's when we must remind ourselves of why we gathered. The crowd nodded, uncertainty mingling with the warmth of their togetherness. Mary watched as the conversation turned more positive, each voice building upon the last. Every act of kindness is a vote for love, she stated, her passion igniting the air around them. Let us let our deeds paint a masterpiece of hope. As she finished, light flickered in the eyes of the villagers. They were becoming one heart, pulsing with purpose. Each individual realized that the power to create change lay not just in their hands, but within their unity. Yet, as Mary looked over their faces, a thought nudged her mind. What if their newfound strength faced an obstacle they could not foresee? A question lingered, an emotional weight teetering at the edge of her intuition. What surprising challenges would test their resolve? How would they forge ahead if doubts returned to tarnish their collective spirit? The set sun cast long shadows, symbols of the trials yet to come. But the whisper of light, a reminder of hope, beckoned them forward. As the last slivers of sunlight surrendered to dusk, a palpable shift entered the air. You could almost taste it, a mixture of hope and anxiety weaving together. Mary felt the anticipation ripple through the crowd as they lingered in the sacred space they had crafted together. With conviction fluttering in her chest, Mary looked to Eli. Let us share our dreams and fears as we walk this path together, she proposed, her voice inviting vulnerability. Each voice matters, each story a thread in our tapestry. Eli nodded, a light shining in his eyes. Yes, let us gather courage in our transparency. Speak, dear friends, what stirs within you? A young woman named Clara stepped forward, her hands trembling slightly. I dreamed of a great storm sweeping through our village, washing away all in its path. At first, I was terrified, but then I saw the rain nourish the earth. It was then I understood sometimes we need to let the old pass away for new life to emerge. The crowd murmured, feeling the weight of her words. Many had experienced storms in their own lives, and Clara's vision brought comfort and connection. Mary smiled, sensing the wheels of faith turning. Their fears, when shared, transformed into seeds of strength. I felt that storm too, spoke an older man named Jonah. Life can feel overwhelming, but I've learned storms often lead to blossoming fields. When the waters recede, what remains is fresh and renewed. His words echoed in the gathering. There was a warmth in the group, a flame of shared understanding igniting hope. They were seeing the power of collective expression. Just then, Thomas pushed through the crowd. His fists were clenched, frustration brimming over. You speak of storms and renewal, but what about the here and now? He demanded, his voice sharp. We cannot rest on dreams. There are real issues we face: hunger, strife. We need to act, not just ponder. Action begins with unity. Mary interjected, her tone unwavering yet gentle. We can't rush to action without understanding each other first. Transformation must start within. But as doubt crept back into whispers, a stranger emerged from the fringes. Shrouded in darkness, but carrying a light that flickered, she held a small, glowing orb in her palms. May I share? Her voice was soft but compelling. The crowd drew silent, captivated by her presence. Your words have power. I've witnessed communities rise and fall alike. What matters most is the purity of your hearts and the unity in your voices. The light you hold, it shines brightest when you face your storms together. In that moment, the stranger lifted the orb, and its light radiated, encompassing them all. The crowd gasped, eyes wide, feeling a warmth in their chests. Mary's heart swelled with understanding. She sensed that they were not meant to be alone in their battles. Remember, the stranger continued, transformation isn't the absence of trials, but the presence of faith during them. Your dreams, hold them close and share them. They will anchor you during the storms. The energy shifted, a newfound lightness filling the air, sparking faith to rise within them. It was as if the very atmosphere around them shifted, inviting new possibilities. They were woven together in purpose, each pulse of belief fortifying their resolve. But a question lingered. What would happen when the storms of life came crashing down upon them? Would their unity withstand the tempests, or would doubts surge forth? As the night deepened, flickering stars bore witness, and the promise of both challenge and divine revelation danced just beyond their reach. Testing their faith, their journey was just beginning. As the crowd stood enveloped in the glow of the stranger's orb, a stillness settled over them. It was as if time had paused, inviting each soul to reflect on the unseen ties binding their destinies. Mary felt the gentle nudging of the Spirit, beckoning her to embrace this moment of connection. Together, we hold a brighter destiny, she declared, her voice steady. But to illuminate our path, we must first be willing to examine the shadows within ourselves. A deep breath swept through the gathering, a collective exhalation of trepidation that had rested heavy upon their hearts. Eli stepped closer to the radiant light, his presence a testament to the courage blooming in the crowd. Let's not shy away from the depths we fear, he encouraged. For every shadow has its story, a whisper of the truth yearning to break free. The young woman Clara nodded, her previously trembling hands now steady. I've carried weights that have threatened to drown me, she confessed. But in sharing, I find freedom. There's beauty in our struggle. A soft murmur spread across the gathering, and one by one, others began to step forward, each sharing their burdens. A man named Peter spoke of the loss he had endured, tears glistening in his eyes as he declared, "It is in my grief that I have found my faith." The cracks that appeared in my heart allowed his light to shine through. The atmosphere pulsed with sincerity, encouraging others to shed their fears. Each narrative unveiled threads of connection, weaving the fabric of their shared humanity tightly together. Within the stories, the promise of resilience began to flicker like the light surrounding them. Yet, Thomas stood apart, his frustration palpable. But what does this truly change? He pondered aloud, casting a wary glance around the gathering. We can share our hearts all night, but tomorrow morning the world will still have its hunger and pain. True, but faith acts as the bridge, Mary replied softly, her tone infused with understanding. When we nurture our hearts, we receive strength for action. We do not ignore the storms. We prepare for them. In that moment, the stranger stepped forward again, her presence still radiant, but now filled with a serene wisdom. Transformation is a journey, my friend, she said. Each step into your own light brings you closer to healing not just yourselves, but the world around you. As she spoke, the orb brightened, illuminating the faces of the crowd, each one reflecting a glimmer of hope. They stood on the precipice of something beautiful. A seed of faith was taking root. They felt the weight of responsibility as if they were chosen for a greater purpose. Mary gazed up at the stars, their twinkling reminders of promises made long ago. What if our journey, our storms lead us to a greater miracle? She mused aloud. What if we are the light? A shift occurred, as if the universe itself held its breath. Would they allow the light to guide their actions, or would they slip back into doubt and despair? The stranger's voice cut through the stillness once more. Will you step forward into the unknown? Your next chapter is waiting to be written in faith. Yet, remember, the choices you make today will shape the dawn of tomorrow. With her words, a surge of energy enveloped them, awakening a profound sense of urgency and anticipation. What path would they choose? What divine revelations awaited them just beyond the horizon? As the first stars of the night began to fade, casting their last glimmers upon the earth, the gathering stood on the cusp of transformation, ready to forge their destinies anew. As the crowd stood quietly, hearts pounding with potential, a subtle wind began to swirl around them. It carried a sense of expectation, a faint promise of what was to come. Mary felt the breeze tousle her hair, and for a moment she was lost in a vision of light breaking through dark clouds. "Let us not hesitate," Eli breathed, his words rich with a newfound urgency. "We are on the brink of something powerful. Our stories carry weight, and together we can create a wave of faith." Around him, faces shifted from uncertainty to resolve. Clara raised her hand, her voice brightening. "What if we transformed our pain into purpose? What if we channeled this energy to spark compassion in our community?" A ripple of agreement swept through the gathering. The air quivered with an electrifying possibility, each heart beating in sync as hope and courage surged. Mary felt a burning conviction grow within her. "We have been gifted with this moment. We must be the hands and feet of change. Let us take our light into the world," she proclaimed, her spirit aflame with passion. Peter's voice rose above the others, resonating with a depth forged in his struggles. "Each small act of kindness creates ripples. Our faith can move mountains, even if the world still feels heavy with sorrow." Thomas, still grappling with doubt, looked around at the faces shining with determination. He spoke again, but his tone had softened. "What if we set out on this path and nothing changes? What if we still face rejection and heartbreak?" Mary stepped closer, her gaze steady and compassionate. "That's where faith lives, dear friend. It isn't about the outcome. It's about the journey we share. It's trusting that every effort, no matter how small, contributes to his great tapestry." The stranger smiled, nourishing the atmosphere with her radiant presence. "Trust the process, beloveds. You are not alone in your journey. Invisible threads connect you to each other and to every soul you will touch. Each act, each shared moment, weaves into the narrative of hope." A murmur of inspiration floated through the crowd as they exchanged glances layered with understanding. The orb pulsed rhythmically, bathing them in its gentle glow. "But how do we begin?" asked Clara, urgency lining her brow. "Courage," the stranger replied effortlessly. "Courage is your first step. Begin with one act of kindness, one shared story. Allow your hearts to overflow. What you do may seem small, but in his hands it will become mighty." A profound stillness descended again, filled with anticipation. Each face glimmered in the soft luminescence, embodying a fragile blend of hope and trepidation. They understood they were on the brink of taking their first steps into faith-filled actions, but a shared silence hung heavy as they recognized the challenge before them. In the quiet, Mary spoke again. "Let us close our eyes and picture the world around us, the pain, the suffering. Imagine each person feeling light breaking through their darkness." Eli continued. "Feel the weight of responsibility, but also the lightness of opportunity." As they breathed in unity, a shared vision began to swell within the group, a mosaic of possibility colored by their dreams and fears. Perhaps, even now, miracles were stirring beneath the surface. But as the gathering began to whisper fervently, the stranger gestured subtly toward the horizon. "Divine possibilities await beyond your courage. Will you journey into the deep unknown with hearts wide open? What will you discover?" A shiver passed through the crowd. The air was charged. Today was a moment alive with choices, woven with threads of divine intention. What awaited them at the end of their first steps? Would their actions echo into eternity? With their eyes closed and hearts aligned, the crowd began to drift deeper into a place of collective prayer. Each breath felt like a soft hymn, rising to the heavens, an offering of hopes and fears alike. Mary could sense the unseen forces converging around them, an invisible tapestry weaving together individual intentions into something far greater. Eli's steady voice broke through the stillness, calling forth a vision. "Picture your hands reaching out, extending warmth and love. Imagine the faces you will touch, those in need of a smile, a kind word, or a listening ear. They are waiting for the light of compassion to break through their darkness." The stranger moved gracefully, her aura shimmering in the twilight. Imagine the world you yearn for, she urged, softly yet firmly. What does it look like? The skies painted with joy, the hearts of your neighbors nourished with kindness. In that vision lies your mission: gather the brave to generate change. The collective imagination soared, painting vivid dreams. Clara envisioned a community garden, bursting with fresh produce and laughter. Peter saw families gathered, united in celebration, sharing stories and meals. Thomas, once held back by doubt, envisioned a circle of arm-locked friends, standing firm together against adversity. Wonderful, the stranger exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with approval. These dreams mirror your heart's desires. They are seeds of hope waiting to be planted. The power within you can set these visions into motion. The enthusiasm surged, a warmth igniting within each individual, brightening their spirits. The once heavy atmosphere lifted, replaced by a stirring anticipation that pulsed through the gathering. But even amidst the excitement, a flicker of realization brushed against Mary's consciousness that they would need more than visions. They would need to act. Let's not forget, she reminded them gently, that change requires sacrifice. The journey we embark on will not always be easy. There will be moments of doubt, fear, and possible failure. A hush fell upon the crowd, the weight of her words settling in the air like a sacred silence. Faces turned toward her, questioning yet open-hearted. But, she continued, her voice filled with life, in those very moments of struggle, we will find our strength. Each step we take in faith brings us closer to fulfilling our mission. Remember, it is not us who will create the change. It is through Him that we find our purpose and direction. The stranger stepped closer, her vibrant presence casting a glow upon them. And as you walk, know this: gifts will unfold along your path, divine provisions and unexpected encouragements. Be keen to see them and quick to share the joy with one another. You will find that as you give, you will also receive. Hope blossomed in every heart, as if the very air became charged with possibility. They were no longer just a group of individuals. They transformed into a collective force, unified by faith and purpose. With this renewed sense of community, they turned to one another, exchanging quiet encouragement, smiles, and nods of affirmation. Are you ready? The stranger asked, her voice echoing with joy. The group responded, a chorus of anticipation, yes. We are ready. Energized by their collective willingness, they began to step forward, each person crossing the threshold from vision into action. It was no longer about waiting for a miracle, it was about becoming the miracle. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, a divine stillness fell over them once more. What awaited them as they ventured out into the unknown? They were poised at the cusp of transformation, but within them lingered the unanswered question: how deeply would their faith walk shape their community? With hearts open and minds eager, they breathed in the divine mystery that lay ahead, ready to grasp whatever it held for them. What would it mean to fully embrace their journey? The next chapter of their story was poised to unfold. As dawn broke over the small village, a fresh spirit emerged within the hearts of those gathered at the chapel. Mary stood at the forefront, her heart ablaze with determination. She looked around and saw the faces of her neighbors, each breath drawn in unison, each heart a vessel of burgeoning faith and hope. Today is the day we step into our purpose, she proclaimed, her voice ringing with confidence. We have felt the stirrings of change, touched the lives of many, and now it's time to take that leap of faith. The villagers exchanged glances, their eyes sparkling with excitement. With each word from Mary, the Spirit wrapped around them, igniting echoes of miracles past. No longer would they be mere spectators, awaiting divine interventions. They dared to be the embodiment of the miracle themselves. As they filed out of the chapel, the sun climbed higher, casting radiant light upon their newly kindled mission. Each villager set forth, bursting with ideas from starting a community kitchen to hosting gatherings for those in despair. Mary led the charge toward the town square, where vibrant conversation filled the air. She approached the food donation collection, her heart quickening at the sight of familiar faces, each ready to offer not just provisions, but love. She placed her hands on a box filled with canned goods. "Let this overflow with the spirit of generosity," she uttered, feeling the warmth of shared purpose enveloping her. One by one, the villagers began to contribute, each donation symbolic of their faith in action. Laughter erupted as children raced around, mirroring the joy that danced in their parents' hearts. The transformation was real. The air buzzed with connection and excitement. Amidst this bustling fervor, a familiar figure approached. It was Thomas, his gaze once hardened with skepticism, now softening with a spark of understanding. "Mary," he began, hesitantly, "I've been thinking about everything we've discussed, and I realize it's not just about action, it's about love guiding that action. Can I join?" "Yes," Mary exclaimed, her heart leaping. "Together, we can create ripples of hope." Suddenly, Clara stepped forward, buoyed by inspiration. "Let us start by preparing meals for the elderly in our village. They need our warmth, and we can deliver the food together." Her enthusiasm was contagious, sparking nods and smiles among the crowd. As they embraced the idea, Mary felt an unwavering certainty welling up within her. She knew that generosity and love were the catalysts they had been praying for. But then, out of the corner of her eye, she spotted someone lingering at the edge of the square. Margaret, a woman known for her quiet demeanor and heavy burdens. Mary veered toward her, recognizing the weight she carried. "Margaret," Mary spoke softly, "would you like to join us? Your hands and heart are needed." The woman looked up, surprise flickering behind her tired gaze. "I wouldn't know how to help," she stammered. "I've struggled so much." Mary took her hands in hers, warmth radiating between them. "It's okay to feel that way. We will walk this together. Your strength will inspire others more than you know." As Margaret's shoulders relaxed, the community wrapped around her, offering promises of support and understanding. Once again, the energy shifted. With faith ignited, the villagers moved, forming groups and setting plans into motion. One moment led seamlessly into another, laughter and chatter creating a symphony of hope that echoed through the square. But as they worked, Mary felt the call of divine purpose unfurling within her. Each act of kindness was a manifestation of their prayers. Lives were intertwining, and with every shared meal or moment of connection, they were weaving a new narrative of love. Later that week, after several days of dedicated service and unity, the villagers gathered once more. They filled the chapel, their sanctuary now alive with the presence of gratitude. "This is truly a miracle," Mary said to the group, looking at each one with reverence. "We have touched lives in ways we may never fully comprehend. It is in our willingness to take action that His glory shines brightest." Eli raised his hands, a gentle smile playing on his lips. "Together, we're not just sharing physical sustenance, we are nourishing souls. Each effort reflects the love we have received, a testament to His greatness within us." As tears of joy flowed, unity blanketed the gathering. The atmosphere glimmered with an unmistakable energy, a confluence of faith, love, and unyielding commitment to one another. Yet, deep within the recesses of her heart, Mary sensed the stirring of a new challenge. A test of their faith would certainly come. She prayed silently, asking for continued strength and insight as their mission lay before them. "What's next for us?" she murmured to herself. "How can we stay the course when doubts may arise?" But before she could ponder further, the stranger appeared, once more the bearer of light who had once ignited their journey. "You have welcomed change, my friends, and it is only the beginning. Feed the flame of love within you. It will guide your steps and shield you in storms. Each of you has the power to create a miracle through faith and compassion." The words hung in the air, sparkles of divine affirmation shimmering around them. Together they began to envision the future. What if they multiplied their efforts? What if they reached beyond their small village, igniting a fire of compassion that spread through every town and heart in the region? And so they prayed together, not just for their village, but for the world beyond, for unity, healing, and the boundless ripple of love to reach the furthest corners of creation. The sun set slowly, painting the chapel's stained glass hues of orange and purple, a testament to the day's divine interventions and the miracle of community. Mary felt tranquility envelop her soul as she gazed at the faces of those she loved, transformed by faith. Yet a question lingered in her heart. How would they respond when faced with inevitable challenges? As they bounded forth on this journey of faith and service, they had one thing to hold on, to trust in a greater plan waiting to unfold, a tapestry woven through the hands of each believer, ready to illuminate the path before them. And so, they collectively ventured into the unknown, hearts open wide, intertwining hopes unfolding like flowers in the light. Their powerful journey only just beginning. Remember, now is your chance to be a part of this miraculous community. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive faith stories that will uplift your spirit. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this inspiration far and wide. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this beautiful ending. You are part of the story. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of faith and hope. Only true servants of God understand how crucial it is to support this channel through these actions. Let us change the world together.